It's like trying to win a car race.
Should be a good one.
And as you're driving, saying, hey, make it run better.
You could have a posse of waifus.
Starting off kind of strangely.
Slaying the land.
Welcome to the show.
This is insanity.
Taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week.
This info is pretty shocking.
Somebody's got to give an answer to this.
This is Augmented Reality.
You are watching my favorite channel.
I've not heard of them.
The Triple S League. Enjoy, guys.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast for September 28th, 2021. This is your source for news, leaks, and analysis of games and the gaming industry, coming at you live on YouTube and Twitch and archived almost anywhere you can find podcasts. Ash here with you, as always, as well as Obsidian and Moontag, who should be in that box over there, but the box is gray. She was there.
No.
She was there a second ago. What happened?
No.
Oh, there you are.
It's
You're back. Yes, it was Luna's fault. She's got a cat as well. And we've got a picture of a nice looking shot from New World. It is the New World release date today, so we're going to be talking a little bit about that. I mean, it's been rough trying to actually play the game with queues are really long. It's release day for an MMO. Those always go, of course, incredibly spectacularly and without, they go off without a hitch, and this one's no exception. But anyway, welcome to the show today.
This one, it's not too bad in most cases, but in some cases for certain servers that people were supposed to and or wanting to get on, they are impossible to get on right now.
Yeah.
Asmongold server and a couple other big streamer servers, the queue time was about 10,000 people, and at the rate that it was dropping, that would be about 12 to 24 hours.
Good
to get
night.
it. So they did address the server amount. They introduced 28 more servers to the to the eastern United States.
Uh-huh.
That was huge because that almost doubled their existing list. And so, yeah, in every case, what we're seeing is that this is an extremely popular game.
Yeah. Well,
and the reviews right now, I went through Steam to check out the reviews because it's mixed right now, and everybody complaining, we're complaining about basically that they couldn't play with their friends, because some of the servers just got packed. A friend streamer of ours, he was trying to get in. He got in split second. He was one of a handful of people that were basically first on the server, and he was one of the first people that made it to the town, and they were one of the first guilds on the server. And yeah, really impressive work. Congratulations. He had a second backup crew that was trying to get in. They missed logging in by 5 minutes, and the queue was 8 hours.
Wow. Oh wow.
Yeah. So if you weren't in that initial avalanche of players trying to get onto one server, you're kind of screwed. So unfortunately, our primary server, the server we were going to go on, it's sitting around an 8-hour queue right now. So we have gone on to one of the newer ones. We don't know how much of a long-term thing this is because it's always launch day, right? There's a ton of people, and this is really funny because Moon and I had to cover for somebody today at work who, what was the excuse?
They mysteriously took the day off.
Oh no, I rolled my ankle.
Yeah, I rolled my ankle. Oh dear, I can't walk. But I'll be at work tomorrow or the next day, probably the next day. Do you need to go to the doctor? No, I don't need to go see the doctor. I can't walk. I'm just gonna stay at home. I rolled it while I was trying to go to sleep last night. So
I rolled it while
I'm just gonna stay here. It's great. It's fine. Yeah. I'll be okay. Go on without me. It's fine. Everything will be okay.
I wonder what they were doing.
Hi, Nick. Hi, Mad King. Nice to see you.
Yes, hello to everyone who is active in the live chat. If you're listening live, please do say hello in the live chat. Let us know your comments and questions there, and we're going to we want to have a big discussion topic a little bit later in the show just about game reviews. What kind of game reviews do you like? What kind of game reviews do you use? Do you trust? Do you ever go to, news media sites to get your game reviews? Mm-hmm. And we're gonna look at one that was very bizarre, but is somewhat emblematic of what I've seen in many reviews put out by corporate media. And anyway, I just want to get a general impression and just have a discussion about that. We do have a little bit of news to talk about. One is the New World thing, and so you guys have been trying to play the game for the past little while here, and it's been really tough to actually get into the game. But how is it running? How is it?
It's running really well. In actuality, it's running very smooth. There's not very many issues with it. We're playing on a server that's in a server family that is not near where we are. We're trying, we decided we would play on one on the other side of the country so that people in Europe could play with us. To try and balance out the connection.
Balance out the lag, yeah.
And to be honest, it's quite amazing. This is the best server refresh rate I have ever seen on a launch day. Normally, launch days are really rough, very laggy. There's so many people in areas and stuff like that. Man, I was surrounded by 40 players just a few minutes ago. All of them on screen, all of them running around jumping, and I was still making pinpoint attacks and blocking with less than a half second of reaction time. So just overall, I am really impressed with the actual hardware that's been put into this, and then the connection rate. And apparently that's because Bezos has basically greenlit all of the connections for the game across all of their internet network, which is huge. People in England are playing on servers in New York with a lesser refresh than a lesser rate of if you were to play the top one or two MMOs in the world right now. That would be World of Warcraft and it's arguably it's obviously it's Final Fantasy right now, and it could be Final Fantasy World of Warcraft. We don't know because nobody's putting out the numbers right now. But you have a better connection connecting from England or France or Germany to New York than you do connecting to a local server for EU for either of those games, from what I've been told as a majority. That's obviously but that is shocking.
Well,
and
if Amazon can afford, if there's one thing that I'm certain they could do right, it's to have good hardware in place for this game. That's the one thing where I'm like, if they can't do that, the company that has automated delivery warehouses and drones delivering packages, this company is built on hardware and efficiency. And if they don't have if they don't have a good network and a good set of servers and good hardware for this game that they're putting out, this MMO, that would be pathetic.
Yeah.
I would say that
Niv in the
Amazon
chat says when you're Amazon, you can afford them servers.
You definitely can.
Right.
I'm sure Bezos could dump out the pocket change that's in his wallet right now and pay for better servers than what most MMOs are able to afford.
So I was going to say, I was going to call you out there. Just the one thing that I think Amazon does better than obviously anybody else is sending their their CEO / owner into space on a very phallic looking rocket. An extremely phallic looking rocket. Yeah, that's
Yes.
Yeah.
That wasn't symbolic at all. That wasn't symbolic about, symbol of dominance over the entire planet or anything like that.
And I mean, kudos for him pushing science and technology forward. But seriously, dude, Like, how did you look at the proposed plan and be like, yeah, nobody's going to mention that?
You know, there's this episode of How I Met Your Mother where the guy, okay, I can't remember the actor's name. He was the dad on Malcolm in the Middle, and then he was on Breaking Bad. He was the main guy in Breaking Bad.
Wow.
Can't remember the actor's name off the top of my head. Do you?
That obviously one of the best actors ever.
Yes, he's really good. I just don't remember his name. Yeah, okay, Saib. Okay, what's his name? Like, that you're totally Googling right now.
Clearly, I have more respect for Breaking Bad actor Bryan Cranston.
Yes, that's
obviously, I have far more respect for him than you do.
Clearly, no.
Just saying.
He guest starred on an episode of How I Met Your Mother, which is not a show I recommend anyone watch because the ending is just terrible. But
it was really bad. The whole story got away from them so badly.
He guest starred in a few episodes actually, and he was really good in it. And he played this architect, but he designs a building that is, everyone looks at the picture of it and they're like, that's a penis. And but no one wants to tell him because he's like this until right at the end when, I don't know, one of the investors or somebody, this like old guy, they're finally showing him the building, and this old guy's like, that's a penis. It was really funny, but anyway, yeah. So why? I mean, was it intentional? I mean, rockets do have to be kind of phallic shaped, but
subconscious.
You know. How phallic shaped is maybe you're right, Moon. Maybe there's some kind of subliminal thing going on there.
Subliminal homage.
Hey, if you're listening live today, please do slam that like button and subscribe. And like I said, we'll be having that discussion topic about game reviews a little bit later on. Hello, Jasmine. Hello, Niv. Arturo. Niv says, people in Europe equals polys. Yes, indeed. So, is this game... I mean, Arturo... I can't remember. I'm not sure if this is a statement or a question. So this game is worth your time, worth your game time then, so go and play. I mean, Moon and Saib have been enjoying it. I played it a little bit. MMOs really aren't my jam, but... I enjoyed the little I did play during the beta, and
the combat is like, the combat's basically Skyrim.
Yeah,
like it's basically Skyrim, and a little bit more like harvesting kind of stuff, but it's basically like Skyrim, like block, attack, most of the spell abilities. It's all basically as is. It's not it's not nothing special, but they really nailed that like really decent combat down, and I think because of that, I think it's got sticking power, because this isn't a game that, like, I didn't take time off today to like prep to play, to like set up a guild and just go absolutely hard like some people have. I'm treating this very much like a casual $40 game, because that is exactly what it is. People who are going to hit cap level by tomorrow afternoon, and they're going to have their, all of their crafting maxed by, Friday. I don't think those people are going to find the game enjoyable in a month, like before the next big content wave is out. I really they might, but I think a lot of them are going to like burn themselves out. I'm going to put no more than probably like 10, 12 hours into this a week, and just be very relaxed, go through it very calmly, and have fun, because that's the point of a game like Skyrim with friends, is to have fun and to kind of like just run around. And
that's what we wanted for Skyrim multiplayer or Fallout multiplayer. That's what we wanted from Fallout 76.
Yeah.
So why don't we follow up next week with you two giving a more like after you've had a chance to play quite a bit more, more of a review. Can we do that?
Yeah, because right now, like, I mean, we haven't gotten very far in it. It's been like we had a really rough day. So it's nothing that we're going to be able to like plow through. I'm not going to be able to plow through tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. Next day is going to be a long day. There's stuff on our docket for the next couple of weeks that are going to be, and hopefully things that are on our docket for the next couple of weeks that are going to be really long and difficult to like just speed through and be like, we're done. We're not gonna be having much of that going on. So and I'm still trying to finish my playthrough of Pathfinders, which is a ridiculously long game.
It's been extremely entertaining.
I'm 60 hours in, and it's like, oh, cool. Where am I? Oh, you're roughly at about the, you're not at the middle part yet. You're at the part before the middle. And I'm like, I'm a quarter way through. They're like, well, a little bit more than a quarter way through. So, I mean, and that game is, the one fault with that game really boils down to the fact that they don't have enough voice dialogue. And I really hope, and I was tempted, I'm tempted to get back into modding to just mod voices, just an enormous amount of voice work for the game, because it really needs it. If it had that voice work, the game would just be so much better. But it's like the other day I got home, started to play it, and it was like wall of text, wall of text, wall of text, wall of text, and I'm asleep.
A lot of reading.
And I don't want to be asleep because it's a good game, but it's just that game. And again, I'm not talking New World here. I'm talking Pathfinders, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. It's definitely an improvement over the previous game, but it's so much reading. And excuse me. And it's really important reading too, because it's like there was this one spot where it's like, and I missed it, and then I was looking on this thing. I was like, why didn't this thing happen that I was expecting to happen? They're like, oh, well, 15 hours ago in your playthrough, you missed picking up a thing.
Oh.
And it's like...
That's bringing me back to, like, Sierra Adventure game days.
Yeah. Like, that's what killed me for the first game. I have never finished the first Pathfinders game, Kingdom, whatever it was, because I was 50, 60 hours in, and I was very, very unhappy with the way that my romantic relationship thing had gone. And it just was like, well, it's terrible, and now you've broken up and you're really sad. And I'm like, okay, what did I do to miss this? And they're like, well, in order to fix this, you'd have to go back to the first zone that you were in and the beginning, and you had to make sure that you picked up, maybe not the first, it's like the second or third or whatever. It's like you had to make sure that you picked up this one thing that was in this corner that you could only find if you had this really high perception level. And it's like, what? Like, I hate games like that where it's like,
yeah, that's bad design.
It's like, I'm Lord Dragon, I will conquer this entire land. And it's like, well, sir, I walked around and I picked up all 600 pine cones, golden pine cones, and now I have a golden pine cone, and boop, doop, you're dead. It's like, I hate games like that. I hate games like that. I hate games like that. I hate the endless, like, especially when it's like, no, you can't go back to that area, so you had to know about that before you played the area. It's like,
yeah.
No, so thankfully they don't have that going on here right now in this one, with the exception of this one dialogue scene, which was not with a permanent character or a potential companion. It was just simply a side event thing that I was looking forward to slightly, and I still got to do, kind of what I still got to say nah 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 nah, but I didn't get to put my hands next to my ear with the Bullwinkle sign and go like on top of the nah 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 nah.
Yeah.
So
is this going somewhere, or can we
Sorry, no, I'm done now.
Okay.
So that's Pathfinder, great game, but long, really long, really not a good game to play when you're tired.
Arturo, I'm not sure what game you think we're talking about, but so the game we were talking about before, New World, that is not a porn game. No, it's I don't think it's a game for kids. It's an online MMO, but when we were talking about the phallic-shaped rocket, that's something that Jeff Bezos, the owner of CEO, whatever, guy who started Amazon, he actually went up to space in a rocket that people feel was rather phallic looking.
Sorry, so yeah, we're not talking about Subverse here.
We're not talking about Subverse. We're not talking about anything going on in.
Sorry, Arturo. This is I'm sorry.
Anyway,
like I said, really long day today.
Yeah. So let's talk about Blizzard briefly. So basically, they've been found guilty, and they must pay for their crimes by again dumping out their pocket change on the table. Activision Blizzard will pay $18 million to settle a lawsuit by a U.S. government agency alleging harassment and discrimination. Now, I want to clarify, this is not the be-all and end-all of what's going on with the Activision Blizzard legal situation. This is one government organization that is has a lawsuit against them with regard to the harassment allegations and stuff like that. There still is the lawsuit from the government of California, and then there are other government agencies that are investigating and making lawsuits. But anyway, this was a settlement they reached with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission in response to a complaint the agency filed earlier in the day. As part of the settlement agreement, which is subject to court approval, Activision Blizzard will create an $18 million fund to compensate and make amends to eligible claimants. So I suppose that's good, but still, $18 million. That's pennies. That's pennies.
That's like drops in a bucket.
So, yeah, it's not a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah. So just 18.
But as I explained to you earlier today, this is it's a semi, like, basically this says we found you guilty from a federal level. Yeah. Now the federal levels don't cover that much. That's why the fine is so small. And this happened exactly the same way with Riot Games. Riot Games was found guilty by the feds, and then while the state thing was still going on, when the state thing finished, they said, no, wait, no, you're not paying 10 grand, you're paying 450 million. And that got locked in. The amount wasn't like 100% until obviously that lower court in the state finished its investigation and taking them to court and going through all the evidence there. I suspect if we see the exact same thing, I suspect strongly they're probably going to have to be forced to pay in around, I would say, 500 to about 800 million for them, because Riot was a small company in comparison to Blizzard when they got hit with that. They were very small leading up with that, where a lot of these problems were happening. This has been longer happening at Blizzard, and this has been documented more so, and there's a whole lot more people involved. So yeah, expect to see maybe it even hit or go past 1 billion. And yeah, they deserve it. When your staff are being paid essentially what is lower than when you calculate local expenses, when you're paying them below the poverty line for an intellectual job that is very demanding, you're a scumbag when you're taking home over $1 billion a month. Or sorry, not a month.
Yeah, there is no question Activision Blizzard can afford to pay its employees more. No question at all.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's what we want to see. That's what we want to talk about. That's what we want hammered home to them. And unfortunately, unfortunately, I don't think they're doing. I don't think anybody's handling this situation correctly. A bunch of the employees have started to attack one another. They've already kind of lost the goals on the whole like unionize thing. The people who are shouting unionize are professional unionizing people, or people who like listen to people like that, which doesn't help in a lot of situations. Just because you get a union doesn't mean that everybody's wages go up and everything. Sometimes you just trade one bad, taskmaster for another bad taskmaster.
Yeah, you need a good union, not just
you
a
need
union.
a good union, not just a generalized union. You need a good union who fights for you and fights for the betterment of the company and the game, which is very different than some unions. Some unions, I dealt with one, and they told us when they got angry at us one day, the union reps looked at the entire employee group and said, "Don't you guys get it? We don't care about you. We're not here for your jobs. We're here for the attached industry jobs that are attached to what you do. We're not here for you. We don't like you. Stop asking for stuff." And when you get told that, what are you supposed to do? And then sure enough, they dropped us, and then everybody got fired. And so it's like that was many years ago. And yeah, that was a really bad thing, but that's what they're risking doing here with Blizzard. And I don't know the solution for this, because there's a lot of people who are like, I really don't know the solution for the whole situation. It's gone to the point where it's just pure chaos. It's like the news today. You turn it on and it's just everything is pure chaos. It's like the that one thing that I laughed about this morning. It's like Dog says, "I'm gonna find this dude," and then 12 hours later, oh, it looks like Dog has a serious it looks like he's narrowed down the search to this really small thing that nobody else saw. And it's like,
oh, Dog the bounty hunter.
And I'm just sitting there like
found
what kind of world, what are we living, like what parallel universe of insanity are we living in when the TV, what are those TV shows called where they're like
reality shows?
Yeah, the reality TV show Bounty Hunter.
The shows where they show reality. What are they called?
Well, it's like, and I mean, I've met him once, and he seemed like he had his head on straight, and he seemed like
I think he actually knows what he's doing. Yeah, so.
Probably, yeah. But I mean, it's just the weirdest thing. It's like, what am I like? It's just everything is weird. It's like I'm just expecting to hear that Mo from The Simpsons has saved a bus full of children. Like it's one of these weird scenarios where it's like, I guess, sure. All right. So this is how I feel about the whole Blizzard thing, because everything's just going around in circles and nothing's being actually made. Nothing's actually being done for the people who actually legitimately need this stuff to be done properly and correctly the first time. And there's so many people who are in the like just living on, like, it's heartbreaking listening to my friends, the people that I know that worked at Blizzard, the connections that I've had. It's always been rough, but at least they said that they were doing it for the love of the games and the industry and the stuff. But now it's like, now that there's very little of that there.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do now? It's like, oof.
That's a very good question. Yeah. It's those employees, the ones who got into it for the love of it, because you don't go work at Blizzard for the money. That much is clear.
Mm-hmm.
But they got into it for the love of making games, and they're the ones who are suffering now, and they're the ones who are on the butt end of this. Because, I mean, really, do you think to pay these fines that the executives are going to cut their paychecks?
Right.
Yeah. That's one thing that Nintendo actually did at one point. For all the flaws Nintendo has, they're far from a perfect company, but some of the top execs at one point, when things were really, really tight, the top execs cut their own pay so that they didn't have to fire anybody. Gotta respect that. But this statement from the CEO, Bobby Kotick, He says the company will continue to be vigilant in stamping out harassment and discrimination. Makes me wonder what his definition of vigilant is, or what is his what is his definition of continue to be? That implies you were doing it before.
Which we know that he wasn't. I mean, and again, with the thing that some people like, they're like, nothing's going to change. It's like the FCC is involved now. Mm-hmm. The FCC is the one who's going to Bobby and saying, hey, interview time. A lot of people don't realize the FCC regularly puts cuffs on people and takes them to jail. The FCC knocking at your door is not a thing that you can be just like, stupid overreaching government. It's like, no. They're not like, they're like a criminal, like, inspection agency. Sure, they get after you for what you put on TV, but people don't understand or seem to realize that they also handle a lot of other things that they put people in jail for. And I believe, I've talked about this before, I believe 100% somebody died, therefore somebody died of unnatural causes means somebody needs to go to jail. Like, because again, it's like somebody died of unnatural causes, period. That's a full stop sentence. That's not we can do better. No, that's not a staff meeting like update. Like, hey guys, we really got to do better. Something terrible happened. We ran out of gas on one of the jobs. It's like, that's not the conversation we're having. Somebody died, period. That means jail time for somebody, most likely. Because
if you can,
people don't just die.
No, but I mean, that was a suicide, wasn't it? Like,
yeah, it was a suicide.
It wasn't. It's not like it was undetermined causes, but yeah, I mean,
but no, suicide is unnatural causes.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, it is unnatural, I guess.
And especially in the circumstances it wasn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's what's got to come out in court. Is there some kind of criminal? Can you pin some kind of criminality on somebody for that? I mean, if the allegations of what happened are true, of course that is horrible. If employees were spreading pictures of her around, I mean, it is absolutely disgusting. And there's an argument to be made that in and of itself should be criminal. Will it be? Well, I mean, I don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole, but yeah, it was nasty stuff. You can't just whitewash over all of this, and that feels like what they're doing. Like Kodak says here, we thank the EEOC for its constructive engagement as we work to fill our commitments to eradicate inappropriate conduct in the workplace. Sidebar.
Yes.
Oh yeah, this was
so much.
I'm 95% sure this was written by a secretary while he was on the golf course. Right. And I mean, it's so much BS. He's just like, write some bullshit about how we care and, say thanks to this group that's suing us and whatever. I'm very curious to see. They've subpoenaed his emails and stuff now. I'm very curious to see what comes out about that. I'll be very surprised if we find out there's no evidence that he knew what was going on. And I'll just leave it at that for now. All right. So let's leave that topic behind us, though. That ugly, disgusting topic. Thank you, everyone, for joining us live today. For those of you who are here live, and if you're listening after the fact, we appreciate you being here as well. If you want to keep the conversation going after the live podcast, though, we definitely welcome you to join our Discord server. You can find the link to that in the description below. It's a place where you can talk to us, find great people to hang out with, and people you can talk to about all of the things you love to talk about, all of your hobbies, all your favorite fandoms, and even random stuff like animals and food. It's all about escapism, and just it's a great place when I need to just basically chill and decompress my mind. I go to the memes room and scroll through there for a few minutes. It's great. We have some very active meme posters.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
It's my favorite channel.
Yeah, it's great. It's pretty great. Anyway, yeah, join up there. Join the Triple S Legion. Say hi to us on the Welcome channel. We'd be glad to have you. Of course, subscribe here on Triple S Podcasts and over on the main channel, the Triple S League. You can find the links to everything in the description below. So let's talk about game reviews. Where do you go to get your game reviews? Who do you trust? I asked earlier if anybody goes to, news media and, for their game reviews, and Niv.
Mad King in the chat earlier said, I come here for game reviews.
Well, that warms my heart. I do. We review games in general, and I've produced quite a few reviews for the channel. I'm not going to claim they're the best reviews out there. But here's the thing. I know when you're, my time is very limited in terms of what I can produce content on. So we have to, there's the three of us, and we all work day jobs. So when I'm making a review for a game, it's because I feel like I have something important to say about that game. And I don't say that as some sort of, badge of honor or anything. That's just the reality of it. I'm not going to make a review about a game if I don't feel like I have something to add to the conversation. And so, I've reviewed big AAA games. I've reviewed tiny little indie games, that I really liked, but, and those do terribly on our channel. Indie game content does not do well.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because there's some fantastic games out there, when I find an indie game that I really, really like, that I want other people to play, I make videos about it. They don't do well, but I like thinking that maybe I'm helping that game get a little more reach. Anyway, where I was going with that is, so when you have people reviewing games for a news website like Polygon, or even the big newspapers, like the Independent or whatever. For heaven's sake, that big financial newspaper has a whole gaming section now that I've oh shoot, the remembering of names is not with me tonight. Yeah,
That's normal.
Yeah, it is. Actually, I'm very bad. That's one of my one of the big annoyances I have in my life. I'm very bad with remembering when I'm on the spot, remembering names and remembering the names of concepts. This was difficult for me in university. I could tell you the concept, but I would get the name of it wrong. Like I'd call it something different. Like I'd get the names of two different things mixed up. Anyway, regardless. So, in a lot of cases, I don't exactly know how it works, but my understanding is, if you're on staff for one of these websites, you'll often just get assigned, here, you're reviewing this game. Would you say that's accurate, Saib?
Yep, that is fairly normal.
And so you have to review the game. And
there's a pecking order to it too. Mm-hmm. There's a considerable pecking order as to if you're allowed to review the top game, the big one that everybody wants to know about. You don't get to do that just like straight up. You don't get to do that if somebody else has that or was given that story by the editor.
Yeah,
you got to go out and cover the stuff that you find boring, stupid, lazy, whatever. It's like, sorry, that's what you get.
Yep. Jagos on Twitch says your Cloudpunk review was very good. Well, thank you so much. That one was a passion project because I loved that. Like, Cloudpunk, I played it. I was like, I've got to review this game and I've got to try and get other people to play it because it was really good. I loved it. Now, doesn't mean it's the greatest game ever, but I really enjoyed it. Got my money's worth. So that's when I do reviews, right? So, yeah, when I see, now I understand, writers sometimes have to, yeah, I see you, Jagos. You're not a ninja tonight. So anyway, I'm glad to hear some of you come here for game reviews. That actually is helpful information. That helps us know what to focus on. So, anyway, when you have, so I asked, I mean, it was almost a given that I would get the like Niv's answer to my question about do you go to news media for your reviews, because he's like, are you kidding, Raffle? Because no, I mean,
I have to say that I go to news, like all the big review sites to check reviews on movies and games and a whole bunch of other stuff like all the time, and I take their opinion very, very, it's very serious. So if I go to a certain website and they're like, hey, there's this product or movie or game that's come out and it's terrible, it's like a 2 out of 10, don't get it, whatever you do, this is garbage, I go, looks like we've got a smash hit that's going to be loved by millions and millions of players and moviegoers. It's going to be probably one of the best things you see, and then when I see them say, oh, this 10 out of 10, this story about this French dude and he's just romancing this person who's obviously underage. It's a great movie. We love it. I know to stay clear of it because it's going to be a giant pile of steaming garbage.
Oh, there you go.
And yes, that's an actual movie. And yes, it's really creepy and really gross. Like, it's really gross. But yeah, no, that's a real thing. People crazy.
Well, something similar happened when I read this review for Kena Bridge of Spirits. This Polygon review tries to downplay, basically, this was one of the weirdest reviews I've ever read. And I read a whole ton of reviews on The Last of Us Part 2. So that's what I'm comparing it to. And those reviews were just incomprehensible. This one, Kena Bridge of Spirits, I'm going to read bits of it, and you see if you can make any sense of it. So, Kena Bridge of Spirits, if you're not aware, it's this game that just came out recently. And it came out for PS5, but it is also on PC on the Epic Games Store. But
shame.
Reading this reviewer did not like this game, apparently, but they also really liked this game, apparently. You tell me if you can figure this out. His first point is, you've played this game before. So his main criticism is that it's a little formulaic. Okay?
Oh, good. I never have to play another 4X game. Because I've always, yeah.
Yeah.
Play it once, you're done, man. In fact, that's most games. We can stop playing. Hey, guys, this just in. We can stop playing pretty much every game there is because there's some level or version of it that's been done before, at least like once or twice. So therefore, been done before, don't have to play it again.
Wow, such logic.
Now, I hate it when they write like this, by the way. It's so pretentious. It starts off, I'm in the midst of another forest meadow. It would be picturesque, if not for all the gnarled purple roots, strangling the life out of the place. Blah, blah, blah. Get to the point, okay? I don't care about that. I just want to know what this game is about. For what's ostensibly an indie game made by an animation studio crossing over to the realm of video games for the first time, Kena Bridge of Spirits is a surprisingly slick affair. Movement is swift, platforming is non-aggravating, and the third-person combat is dance-like and bursting with energy. That sounds fantastic. Honestly, and I'm not even being sarcastic. That sounds great. Okay. Over the course of the game, you'll attain a few extra powers, turning your staff into a magical bow and the ability to throw a series of spirit bombs, to name a couple. But the setup for the combat largely remains the same throughout. Enter a closed area, kill contorted tree things, burst the bulbs with a magical pulse, and cleanse the area. Okay. So, a little formulaic, but sounds like the controls, gameplay, and stuff is pretty fun. To make things slightly more interesting are Kena's companions, small creatures known as Rot. These friendly little fellows will dart away from Kena in order to show you the way and highlight interactive objects. There are some lovely details here with the creatures teleporting into positions of rest, constantly one step ahead of you atop house furniture and rocks and logs. You'll accumulate dozens of them. You can give them funny hats. Okay, this game sounds charming AF right now.
Right.
Like, this is the Polygon review, by the way. So he's saying you've played this game before. This doesn't sound like any game I've played before. What are you talking about? I mean, okay, yes, there's been third-person platformer games before and da-da-da-da-da. But, all these little creatures that run around and show you stuff and do things, and then you collect them and you can use them for, they assist you. You gain more abilities the more of them you have.
Maybe he's talking about Pikmin.
That sounds cool. It's kind of Pikmin-like.
Yeah, but like, you can dress up your Pikmin. I want to dress up these little guys.
Well, the Pikmin, all they did was follow you around.
Yep.
And you had the different colors with the different ability. He doesn't mention Pikmin anywhere in here, by the way. They can also assist in exploration. They shift blocks around, rearrange statues to open up hidden areas. Like this sounds great. There are platforming sections with perfectly painted cliff edges, environmental puzzles, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So he goes on and on and on and on about how great the various aspects of this game are, but then he argues that when you put them all together, it's a bland experience. This is mind-blowing. What? Yeah, it makes no sense. This review is completely incoherent. This person knows
how to write.
Yeah, it's baffling. But here's the paragraph where. Sorry, go ahead, Moon.
Oh no, I'm just like, it's odd because like it sounds like he's gonna bash it, but then he's like, glowing review? What?
Yeah, isn't it awful how amazing all the different parts of this game are? Like,
gee.
Most disappointing of all is how Kena Bridge of Spirits feels to play. Like, what? This completely contradicts what you've said before.
Yeah.
You talked about how great the controls were. You talked about how charming and colorful everything is.
Like,
it's combat, and even the very next sentence here, it's combat. Puzzles and exploration are finely tuned and well-oiled. I mean, how many games can you say that about? Not enough.
Yeah.
Clearly.
But the game rigidly sticks to a formula that we've all seen before. You already know the rhythm and flow from countless other games, and the games he compares it to. It's 2018's God of War without the gruesome finishing moves. It's Ghost of Tsushima without the expansive cast of characters. It's Horizon Zero Dawn without the sprawling scope. He's saying we've seen this stuff before. The rhythm and flow, whatever that means. We've seen it before. In 3 of the biggest budget games to come out on the PlayStation in recent years. This is a bad thing. This is a bad thing, apparently. This is a bad thing. You know the rhythm and flow from these other amazing games. Look at this. It's similar to these 3 amazing games. Isn't that terrible? What the crap? This makes zero sense. Zero sense. And then this is just a writer trying too hard here, with trying to turn everything into a metaphor. Ugh. But it often feels less like Kena Bridge of Spirits was inspired by things and more like it decided it could squish its beautifully realized world of magic and spirits into a ready-made mold. What ready-made mold? The ready-made mold of God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, and Horizon Zero Dawn is pretty damn good mold, if that's what you're comparing it to.
Right?
The result is a thoughtless blend, a hybridized paste, vibrant and undoubtedly beautiful. Kena Bridge of Spirits shows us every color in the spectrum, but strangely, it all feels brown. A muddy grayish brown that comes from having mixed together every color on the palette. If someone could tell me exactly what that sentence actually means, I'd be much appreciated.
Oh my god.
Appreciative. Sorry. So this review, in which he's trying to tell me how bland this game is, made me really want to play this game because he went and described how great, to the point where I'm tempted to buy it on the Epic Games Store. I mean, it's one thing to have a review that I disagree with, that's fine. But this review accomplished the opposite of what he set out to do. He made me want to play the game. Now, some people are saying it's overpriced for the length of the gameplay, and that's fair. That's fair. That's absolutely fair. The key thing to remember, and he also doesn't mention, like he mentions it's an indie game. He doesn't mention that it is it was made by a 15-person team, if I recall correctly, and it's not a full priced. It's about 2/3 of AAA price. So I think it's about $40 US off the. Actually, I've got the Epic Games. What is it? $50 Canadian. So it's probably about 40 US. So he doesn't mention that in there. I have no idea, but this is typical. Sadly, this is typical of these corporatized reviews, and I think it's terrible. Like this does no favors to anybody. This doesn't help the potential player. This doesn't help the indie studio. What's the point of doing this other than, this guy was assigned to do this review. In my opinion, this is like he completely botched it. If he was trying to convince me that this wasn't that fantastic of a game, then he completely botched that intention. But here's what really gets me, though. He's comparing it to games like God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Zero Dawn, and complaining that it doesn't innovate or doesn't, innovate on those incredibly high-budget games. That doesn't do anything different.
Really different style, though.
Well, it definitely is. But if you look at the description of the game here on the Epic Games Store, this is the least pretentious game description I think I have ever read. It lays out exactly what to expect, and it's not pretending to be something it's not. Mm-hmm. It's not pretending to be this thing that this reviewer was comparing it to. A story-driven action-adventure combining exploration with fast-paced combat. As Kena, players find and grow a team of charming spirit companions called the Rot, etc. They help you to manipulate the environment. Here's the story. Here's what you do. You find the Rot. It gives you a little bit of detail. They maintain balance by decomposing dead and rotting elements. Here's the key features of the game. You build your team. You collect these little rot creatures. You make discoveries. You transform the environment. You explore. And there's combat with corrupt spirits. Like, it just lays it out. Here's what our game offers. It's not claiming to be some revolutionary iteration on the formula. So after looking at that, I was like, where does a review like that Polygon review come from, honestly? So anyway, curious where I suspected most of you, don't go to sites like Polygon for your reviews. It's just really sad that this is the state of gaming journalism. And I know, it's been a while since we've had a good rant at gaming journalism, but personally, I go to the Steam reviews, sometimes to Metacritic, although I don't even really like Metacritic. I go to the Steam reviews. I see what people are saying. I sort by positive. I sort by negative. I read the people who hated it the most. I read what they have to say. People who liked it the most, I read what they have to say. Actually, I sort of try to aim for the 8 out of 10s and the 2 out of 10s rather than the 10s and 0s.
Yeah, because there's a lot of sycophants and a lot of like haters out there.
Yeah,
and you want to avoid most of that, which is hard. It is very difficult to avoid all of that kind of stuff. The hype, man, I am so done with hype. But even still, even seeing a really good trailer of a game that I really love, that I'm really looking forward to, it gets that hope bubble rising up in me, and I'm like, yeah, but they're probably just gonna absolutely ruin it, and it's probably gonna be terrible. It's not gonna be like anything that I ever wanted it to be, and then I get sad again, and then I get depressed again, and that's not good. So it is something that you have to be careful of, because either going in either direction, isn't good for you. Going to either extreme, right?
Yeah.
Extreme's not good.
Jagos says that 4chan is great for reviews too. There's no reputation. People are brutally honest. Yeah. There you go. I mean, that's what I want to know. I want to know what your down to earth everyday player thinks. You know, not some critic who is defined themselves as being a critic, or just some news article writer who just got assigned this game whether or not they wanted to write about it. You know, and I don't blame necessarily someone for writing, you know, for doing their job. We all have to do our jobs. But this one in particular was particularly bad in my opinion, and it's just something I see over and over on these news websites. And I feel like they've driven themselves into irrelevancy, and yet somehow they're still surviving. Somehow there's still somebody reading them, because if nobody's reading them, these websites don't exist. Mm-hmm. So where else do you go for your reviews? We've heard 4chan, we've heard Triple S League. I mean, thank you so much. But I'll kind of group that with other YouTubers. There's lots of YouTubers that will give you really in-depth reviews, and that's probably the second most common place I'll go for a review is to a YouTuber that I trust. The Steam reviews again, or insert whichever actual platform there where the actual players can review the game. Those are really good. So yeah, let us know in the comments or in the live chat here where you get your reviews from. Moon Inside, where do you typically go when you're looking for reviews on a game?
Again, everything you said, basically.
Yeah.
It's good to get a wide variety, I guess. But how do these, how are these, there are some decent gaming media sites. We go to various websites to get our news. But I never go to Polygon, because I never go to Kotaku. Some of these sites are just, what they put out is not useful for much other than lining a birdcage. So how do these sites survive?
Right now, they're the only game in town, basically. A lot of and we've covered this before. We've covered the sick relationship between mega multi-billion-dollar organizations and news broadcasters that say whatever that owner of that company wants them to say.
Yeah.
And that company owner is held in place by some, a sister parent company who's another sister parent company of another parent sister company, and they all get the message in the morning. Say this about this. Don't say that about that. Line up, do this, do that. Because it's freaky, because we've seen this, investigations and stuff like that, where it's yeah. So day one, you hear this from this company, from this media place, and then you hear that exact same thing verbatim at 10 other companies. And it's oh, wow, okay. Yeah. So prepared message that gets told, everybody has to say the same thing now. It's one of the most creepiest things in today's age, where people will just parrot a talking point perfectly, even though they have no idea that it is a talking point, that it is something that's been prepared and readied and created for them to say.
Yeah.
It's really shocking how so many people have no idea, not a dang clue that what you're hearing is not a genuine thought. It's not a genuine thing. What you're saying is something that somebody spent a long time with several different algorithms to get you to say that without you realizing that that's what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's yikes. Yikes. That is legitimately scary to me.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily the corporations parroting each other, because they'll always do that, government and stuff like that too. That's just the way that things work, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So anyway, I do. Oh, Moon, where do you go for reviews?
Well, mostly peers and like kind of whatever sort of catches my eye.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just kind of look into it, whether it's like directly from the description from like the store page, developers,
Mm-hmm.
and like other people that I see on YouTube, basically. So because it's like I don't like reading the news. I don't like going to like any of the regular outlets or whatnot. So it's like if I pass by it, I might take a browse or something, but it's like I like having a broad pool of data to gather from.
Yeah.
I don't just like go for the one thing.
Right on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, I do actually really want to play this Kina game now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of that Polygon review. I wasn't kidding about that.
Yeah.
I was absolutely indifferent about the game. I was like, yeah, it looks like it could be fun, but I don't know. I read the Polygon review. He describes it in detail, and it sounds fantastic. Like, seriously, that review where he's trying to trash the game
Well,
made me want to play it.
I mean, I've got to say that there was another game that came out, was showcased recently, and there was a lot of journalists and people saying, ugh, who wants to play that game? It's so outdated and old right now. Like, I mean, that's just really gross and just like, it's so inappropriate. Oh my goodness. Who would do such a thing? Who finds that interesting? I'm like, yep, yeah, that's definitely on the buy list.
Well, that's one thing. It's one thing to be like, oh, these pretentious corpos don't like that game, so that automatically makes me interested in it for sure. That's one aspect of it, but it's rare that they actually then proceed to describe the game and make it sound really good while they're trying to make it sound really bad. Like, it's bizarre. Anyway, then again, they managed to make Last of Us 2 sound really bad while they were trying to make it sound really good. So I guess it happens, right? It happens.
Right.
All right, well, we'll have to wrap it up right there because we're out of time. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for the conversation in the live chat. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and doing all of the things, all of the YouTube things. We really appreciate that. And, of course, as I said earlier, join the Discord server if you want to be part of a great community. I want to extend a special thank you to our Patreon supporters, channel members on the main channel, and Twitch subscribers. We really appreciate all of you. You've seen their names appearing on the top of the screen throughout the show tonight. Really appreciate those who do that, but also those of you who just return week after week to listen to the podcast or catch our other content that we do over on the main channel, and especially if you share it around so that we can get the word out and that, help more people find our content. We really appreciate that, so thank you so much. The Augmented Reality Podcast is a presentation of the Triple S League. Check out our YouTube channel, the other YouTube channel, Triple S League channel, for game guides, reviews, comedy, and tons more quality gaming content. My name is Ash. On behalf of Sybe and Moontag, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you again very soon. Bye.